press briefing where I've called you to come and talk about a few national issues or issues affecting our country, our governance, and of course the general populace. First and foremost, I want to call upon this government that stop treating the people of Zambia like second-hand citizens who don't think that whatever pronouncement you make is correct. And when somebody tells you that this is not correct, you want to treat those individuals like lepers in a society by obviously sending your proxies in terms of fake NGOs by Mtawale and them, Nashalaneka political parties like that one of Peter Chan, that New Congress Party, where we don't even hear of any Secretary General or not even a management committee, to start disparaging and insulting people who mean well for this country. Yesterday I was extremely disappointed and hurt on behalf of the people of Zambia that the President of the Republic of Zambia and his Minister of Agriculture can go in front of the camera wanting to deceive people that the problem of the current high minimum prices is being caused by the millers. How can you be so unfair to the millers? How can you be misleading the people of Zambia with impunity? This is unacceptable. Where I was seated after hearing the Minister of Agriculture saying, "Your Excellency, we are going to sit down with the millers and we'll make sure that we come up with a lasting solution where the price of minimum will be reduced." Because you know, politics is not about misleading the people. Politics is about offering leadership in order to uplift the living standards of our people. But if the president and his minister can be the first ones to try and issue rhetoric statements, to try and issue statements that are giving hope where there is no hope to the people of Zambia, and such a leadership must actually resign on moral grounds. You and I know that the price of maize has been increased from 65,000 kwacha per 50 kg bag of maize to 150 kg bag of maize. And automatically, by the mere fact that the bag of maize has been increased from 65,000 kwacha to 150,000 kwacha, entails that the price of minimum is actually supposed to double. Even the current prices of 130 per 50 kg bag of breakfast and 120 per 25 kg, bag of breakfast, and 130 per 25 kg bag of breakfast and 120 for Rorami are not the actual prices that we expect. I can rest assure you that after August, September, the price of minimum will be in the range of about 150 for a 25 kg bag of minimum and about 130, 125 kwacha for Rorami. And this is not the problem of the millers. The problem is that the inputs, the agriculture inputs have gone up. The cost of producing maize has gone up. Hence, the price of maize has gone up. And once the price of maize goes up, it simply means that the price of minimum will go up. Now, what does a government that cares do in such circumstances? It's not to go and issue rhetoric in front of the donors, in front of the cameras, that you are going to sit down with the millers and the millers are taking advantage they should reduce the price of milling. That is not correct. Honorable Katambo, Insoni Ubuntu, Your Excellency the President, Insoni Ubuntu, you know that it is no problem of the millers. The millers have got costs. They have spares for their plants. The exchange rate of the dollar to the kwacha is now about 13,000. Meaning, therefore, that the cost of production of milling meal has gone up, plus the maize has gone up. Obviously, the price of maize will go up. And to apportion that blame to the millers is being irresponsible of the worst kind. The world over, reasonable governments do subsidize the main food. In Zambia, our staple food is milling meal. Our staple food is in Shima. What do we expect from the government? Is the government to announce subsidies for the milling meal so that you can cushion the poor people. Not the rhetoric of saying we are going to meet the millers. If you meet the millers, are they going to reduce the price of maize? If you meet the millers, are they going to reduce the price of cost of spares for their milling plants? Can we be serious? You see, it is unreasonable and unacceptable that in a country where maids are paid about 500 kwacha per month, in a country where a watchman wa malonda are getting 500 kwacha per month, the cost of the staple food, which is milling meal, can be 130,000 kwacha. On an average family, there are about 6-7 people, meaning therefore that that average family consumes about 3 bags by 25 kg per month. What is the meaning of that? Out of the 500 that this poor guard, this poor maid gets, 390 will go towards the bag to buy milling meal alone, leaving this poor guard with 110,000 kwacha for school fees, for cooking oil, for sugar, clothes for the children. It is practically impossible. Utungurusho leadership entails that you must come up with strategies to cushion the suffering of the people and to improve their living standards. Now you want to tell us we'll sit with the millers to do what with the millers? Come on, convene a cabinet meeting, find money, subsidize milling meal for now, or find a way of reducing the inputs. And you have caused this problem of inputs. We have got nitrogen chemicals here, which if recapitalized can produce cheaper fertilizers. But you have opted to go and buy fertilizers from the dealers who are giving you commission. As a result, the cost of production of maize has gone up. When President Sata was alive, we recapitalized nitrogen chemicals. Today, nitrogen chemicals employees have gone 6 months without getting paid. They have been funded only enough to produce 15,000 metric tons of fertilizer. The other fertilizer, you want to buy it from middlemen who are importing it from the Middle East. You are creating jobs for the people in the Middle East. You are wasting taxpayers' money, dollars, to go and procure the fertilizer, which is increasing the cost of production for the farmers. And once the cost of production has been increased, obviously the cost of maize will go up and the cost of milling meal will go up. You want to go and call meetings, mislead the people that you are going to meet the millers. If you must come to an end. If you can't cut down the middleman in the procurement of fertilizer, go and subsidize milling meal. Abantu balefa kunsala. Ushekwe no muntu pampia fola shonse atwala mkushito bunga. Hello, over 70% of the population is unemployed. They don't even know where they're going to get one kwacha. How do you expect them to buy minimum? In Angola, the staple food is bread. The Angolan government subsidizes bread. Bread is very cheap in Angola because that's a staple food. Now, Imwe, you want to be pretending that all is well. The best you can do, leave those offices for some of us who have got a heart for the people. Some of us who have got plans on how we can mitigate the suffering of the people. Not we are going to meet the millers. Is that what you call being a minister of agriculture? The president is even seated, is even doing this. And can we be serious? It is unacceptable for the bag of minimum to be selling at 130,000. You accept the people to survive. Nami papa tasana saka maneni abantu. Because after 3 months from now, the bag of minimum will go close to 200. We were telling you this reckless buying, these deals you are doing of wanting always Miombo and them to procure fertilizer on your behalf, which you can produce at nitrogen chemicals, will have far-fetched consequences. Now you are facing the consequences of buying fertilizer from middlemen. As a result, you've caused the price of minimum to go up as a government, and you want to take the blame to the Millers Association of Zambia and the milling companies. Millers and milling companies have to make profit. If they can't make profit, they will declare their employees redundant. And once they do that, you are causing more problems in the economy. So can you go and do the right thing? The price of minimum is too much. And the people of Zambia, you can't keep quiet. Remember what happened during Kaunda time. Kaunda had to nationalize the milling companies because the price of minimum was going out of hand. But we are not asking you to nationalize the milling companies. All we are trying to say is that cut down on the middlemen so that the price of inputs for the farmers can come down. So that the poor people who are also producing maize can make something for themselves. But as long as you continue with the middlemen in the fertilizer supply chain, the price of minimum will kick you out of office. And I appeal to the people of Zambia, please say no to increased price of minimum. I want my grandmother in Chishamwamba village in Mpolokoso. I want my grandmother from my father's side in Katuna village in Mpolokoso to afford a bag of minimum. But not this, what we are going through now. It is unacceptable. Yesterday, we saw a number of NGOs lined up by the PF government to condemn me on the cost of Kambwili Hospital and the other hospitals. I want to tell you that the call or the claim by the Minister of Health and the NGOs, Sunday Chanda inclusive, to say that I should have read the presidential speech for me to know the cost of Kambwili Hospital is an insult to the intelligence of the people of Zambia. The presidential speech is not an authority in construction. The presidential speech is not an authority in construction. The authority in construction is the BOQ and the tender documents. Where are the tender documents for Kambwili Hospital? Where are the tender documents for Kalindawalo Hospital? Where are the BOQs for Lusaka Hospital? Where are the BOQs for Chinsali Hospital? If government is telling the truth, I challenge them. I challenge them to publicize the tender documents for these hospitals. And by the way, people of Zambia, they are saying no, it is 154 million kwacha. Now, listen to this. They are saying Kambwili Hospital is a very big hospital, Referral Hospital, which is going to have 800 beds space. And according to them, they are saying it is going to cost 11 million US dollars. If you translate the 154 million kwacha, it is coming to $11 million. Now, the Lusaka hospital, specialized hospital, the bed space is only about 200. It costed government $22 million. Kalindawalo Hospital, the bed space is 200. It costed government $28 million. Chinsali Hospital, the bed space is 200. It costed government $28 million. How then can Kambwili, which is 800 bed space, cost $11 million? Something is not adding up. Simple analysis. Let government dispute if it is not true that Kalindawalo Hospital will cost $28 million, Chinsali $28 million, and Lusaka $22 million. Now, these hospitals are much smaller than Kambwili Hospital. Now, how can Kambwili Hospital cost $11 million when these smaller hospitals are costing $28 million and $22 million respectively? They are not telling the truth. I insist that Kambwili Hospital, the cost is $154 million. And the job of the opposition is to provide checks and balances. I'm extremely disappointed that they are cause and people rushing to the police to say go and arrest Chishimba Kambwili for telling you the truth about the hospital. Inena alimyewa tunalishimpula ngomusunga mfwayafyo kwa kushomutwe pachishinkanka fuila. You can send 50 people to go and report to the hospital. And after all, I'm not surprised. Because it's President Edgar Lungu was the first to say, these who are alleging that there is corruption in my government, police, you must arrest them. So we know that all those people, Peter Chanda, they call him Peter Chanda, new Congress party, Sunday Chanda, and those who are saying we are going to report Kambwili to the police, go and report to the police. I am big enough to defend myself. And I'm ready for you. I have got these figures from reliable sources. I don't cook up figures. One thing you should not forget is that you PF government, you are very unpopular among the civil servants. And it is the same civil servants who are giving us the information of how you are stealing. So be careful. Be careful. And when you look at the way I was condemned over this, it is the Smart Egos. Smart Egos is a publication at State House. So all you are doing, you call this one, what do you think about Shimbakam? They say, you post. We want an official statement being backed by the BOQs and the tender documents to show that indeed the hospital costed the amount that you are claiming. We cannot be referring to the presidential speech. The presidential speech is not part of the tender documents. For heaven's sake. The presidential speech It's just a pronouncement made by the president. And it can carry a wrong figure. Even the Minister of Health, in their statement, were referring to the speech by the president, which was widely circulated. Why haven't you circulated the BOQs? Why haven't you circulated the tender documents? And by the way, what kind of tender is it? Awarded in 2017 December. You come and start construction in 2019. Takwava all over the world where a tender is done in that manner. If there was no money, the best you could have done was to cancel that contract, because it has gone in 2 years without being actualized. When you do a tender, there is a limit. You say this quotation is valid for 30 days or is valid for 60 days. So are you telling me that this tender, when it was done in 2017, whatever they want to tell lies, there was no limit of when the quotation was valid? How can a price, that's when you can even see that these prices are overpriced. The price of cement in 2017 is not the price of cement in 2019. The price of transportation in 2017 is not the price of transportation in 2019. Therefore, a tender which was done in 2017 cannot be valid and be started in 2019, 2 years later. You know, when you are issuing these statements, you think the people of Zambia are stupid. You think all of us don't think. Let me tell you that some of us are equal to the task. You can fool people for some time, but you cannot fool people for good or forever. This tender is dented with corruption. And first and foremost, the creation of the Ministry of Infrastructure Development was meant to mean that all procurement of capital projects should be done by the Ministry of Infrastructure. How do you allow the Minister of Health to go and handle such a big tender? How? It is because people have interest. And all we are saying in all this is that stop your personal interest and commissions in these procurements. Concentrate on giving service to the people of Zambia. I cannot imagine a 200-bed space hospital costing $28 million. Then a 800 regional hospital costing $11 million. Unless I'm dreaming. If it means Bangor is costing $11 million, then we should arrest those who tendered for those 3 hospitals at 28, 28, and 22. It means there was corruption in those 3 tenders. If the one for 800 bed space can cost $11 million, then there was corruption in the procurement of those that costed 28 million when they have a bed space of 200. So those who want to report me, you are more than welcome. Go and report. I have got figures. And I challenge the government to publish the BOQs. And Badora Slia, my sister, let me tell you, ichomule mekela, ichomule vepela mubufi, tamwa chichulila. Nimweba katie mwenda mwali mwa. Chimono kutila mwayane mbwa mumpanga mkulunga. Mwayane mbwa ya ikatena ma. Dila mwa isa nomba mkunganda muleba mbe nama no koche mbwa ilipanse ile tamba. Ifo tulimbwa twalimikatile nama. Ero mule tutunzia no kutunzia muli bukabolala no balebe pobufi tatuwe pobufi. We get the figures from the civil servants who work for you. And Dora must be the last person to be calling people like me and condemning them on PF. Basatwale mwitati dollar slit kuba tukamwale batuka no kutuka PF. Lero mulemekele chinto cho tamwabo mbela. Bakatietie mwenda mwalimu. Tuleyimbana nenwina mamene. Ngatamulekele fyo bupupu. If you don't stop stealing from the people of Zambia, I will never stop talking. And I am ready to die to tell the truth. Komala bula hospital ikulia 800 beds yaba $11 million. Ka hospital aka nono aka 200 beds kaba $28 million. Nenso tamwakwata. You cannot defend things that can never be defended. But by the way, there is always a paper trail to every transaction, whether in government or in any organization. There is a paper trail. And one day soon, the paper trails will be relied upon. This idea of asking CBU students to pay 1,500 must be abolished or stopped with immediate effect. We have over 1,000 students at CBU. If they pay 1,500 each, it simply means the university is going to raise close to 20 million. If we have to put it at a minimum of 1,000 students, you are talking of 15 million kwacha, isn't it? 15 million kwacha, that is the cost of building a hospital. The Michael Sata Hospital in Mpika, the hospital that President Edgar Lungu went to open in Mungwe district, Kwachtimgulu, costed 11 million kwacha. You want to collect 15, 20 million kwacha from poor students. And how do you expect those students to pay? Because you are the people through bursaries who pays their tuition. You pay for their accommodation. Now, where are they going to get 1,500? The poor people. I'm calling upon the management at CBU to stop this unreasonable charge. Let the children go back to school unconditionally. That brings me to another issue. I think when government is coming up with policy, we must think about the implication of the policies that you are coming up with. Today, there is a lot of delinquents among the youths, more especially school-going children. In Onjitaba Iche, as early as grade 8, grade 9, 10, 11, they are involved in a lot of illegal things. Smoking, drinking, etc., etc. Now, some of these children are kept busy by their schools offering what is known as holiday tuition for those parents who can afford. And because of this holiday tuition, children are kept in schools almost all the time, keeping them away from these vices of beer drinking, drug abuse, etc. And obviously, if a child is a little bit behind, it gives them an opportunity to catch up. And obviously, allow the teachers to earn extra income. Because we all know that teachers get very little salaries. But for them to make a little bit of money, they offer their expertise to their own children during the holidays. You go and say, we've cancelled holiday tuition. Who are you impressing? What are you trying to achieve? I find this idea of stopping holiday tuition to be lopsided and unreasonable. And I think my friend Mabumba, who I hold in very high esteem, must rethink this decision. must rethink this decision. And also, the reduction in the tuition fees, user fees by parents, has not been supported by a corresponding grant from government to cover that loss. As a result, the standard of service in schools has gone down. Schools have now stopped running end-of-year term tests or examinations because they cannot afford. Most of the children are now not able to participate in sports activities because the income of the school has gone down. We welcome the reduction of the tuition fees or user fees, but what we expected was that government was going to up the grant so that you cover up for the loss, but that has not been done. Again, my friend Mabumba, what were you thinking? Send the grants to the schools in order for the schools to continue offering quality education service. Otherwise, you have destroyed the schools by failing to send the grants to cover up the loss of the reduction that you announced. Health insurance. Some of these things. Please don't start programs when you are not ready. How can you say you are going to deduct the 1% from civil servants and all those who are in employment for 4 months in advance so that you can set up this national insurance, and then these people only start enjoying that facility after 4 months? When government is coming up with policy, please analyze these policies. You're supposed to raise your own funds so that when people start paying, immediately they also start enjoying the service. Supposing you deduct the 4 months from and it fails, what happens? There are no structures that have been established. And by the way, I want to put it to be on record that I objected to the establishment of this insurance policy and making it mandatory for everybody, including those who don't work. Where do you expect the people who don't work to be getting premiums to pay every month towards this? And if they don't pay, it means they cannot go to the hospital. What has come in? And when you batila le sanga le folk seven abantu nanguko pamupando alabalo wechilafi. Because everything that you are doing by President Galungu Nabanene, Chilelanga feel that you people are not prepared or are not ready to rule this country. This national insurance thing must be suspended until there are proper consultations, there is money to ignite the whole thing and make sure that the poor people will also be covered and not to be unfair to them. When I was in government, when I was in parliament, there was the issue of the so-called vehicle replacement allowance of 32,000 kwacha that were introduced by the current government to pay their ministers well and above their salaries. We fought this in parliament, and there was an assurance from the then secretary to the cabinet that government has realized that there are austerity measures and this was done wrongly, and that they are going to discontinue the 32,000 kwacha payment to ministers. It has come to my knowledge that government did not actually discontinue this 32,000 payment to ministers, illegal allowance. They have continued paying it, but calling it another name. Now, The giving of 32,000 kwacha allowance to the ministers means that the ministers are now getting about 80 plus or minus 80,000 kwacha per month. Now, if these ministers can pay themselves 80,000 kwacha per month, kuti bamufo uchunshi babantu. Kuti bamufo basivo 7 ngamwalila tumaturunira 4%. Imomo ya iwikila ko 32,000 kwacha to your allowances and your salary. Elo mwaya lundila basivo 7 4%. Muni 4%, you bring even national insurance, you get 1%. Imomule fola 80,000 kwacha, about 80,000 kwacha per month. Ama civil servants fale fola ma 3,000, 2,000, 4,000. Kuti mwaposa kwa mano imomule fola ndala machine. Mwebantu mweba mayona batata mweba limomo mkabinet balungu. Mfile kwa bantu luse. Ifo fine mule fola ma 80 na wabantu wale fola 80. But how can you be so selfish? You lied to the people of Zambia that this 32,000 will be discontinued by December. Up to now, the ministers are getting this allowance. And I have said, the genesis of this allowance was that we sat as cabinet before President Michael Sata died. And we said, there is no need for the ministers to have 2 vehicles. One official vehicle and another vehicle at their residence for their families. It is an extra cost that is not necessary. So we removed 1 vehicle and remained with 1 vehicle. So when President Ederunga and his people came, they said, no, that vehicle they removed is unfair. So we have to pay ourselves 32,000 as a replacement for the vehicle at home allowance. Replacing what? Because when they came into government, these current ministers, into office, they were not entitled to the 2nd vehicle. So what are they replacing? Replacing a condition that you never had. The selfishness. And those are the bases on which we challenge them. What are you replacing? Because that vehicle was removed as a cost-saving measure. Now listen to this. 32,000 kwacha per month multiplied by 10 months, it would mean each minister per year will get 300 and for 10 months will get 320. For 1 year, they'll get close to 400,000. Now 400,000 multiplied by 5 years, you're going to get, is it 2 million? Huh? 182. 1.9. Always confusing. They were going to get 1.9 million kwacha for 5 years. Illegal money. Now mwikala mwebe na Zambia mule seka. Imo mule chula. Bena wale ipela illegal money. Because all allowances that ministers get and their salaries are determined by the Presidential and Ministerial Emoluments Act. And everything that is given to them passes through Parliament. But this 32,000 kwacha has never passed through Parliament approval, which means it's illegal. And they lied to the people of Zambia that would discontinue. By December, they have continued earning this illegal allowance. They have to pay back. From January last year to date, all the ministers must pay back this illegal 32,000 kwacha. Mule kwata koruse. Insonye wuntu. Imo mule fola wino. Me, when I was minister, I was getting 17,000 kwacha. Now you can imagine, from the time I left government, they have moved from 17,000 kwacha to 80,000 kwacha. Selfish people, shameless people. And yet from the time I moved from government, Civil servants have only gained a total of 320 kwacha as salary increment from 2016. And yet them they have moved from 17,000 kwacha to 80,000 kwacha. Eronga tuatila bakabola ala bapompwe imwe. Ati Kambwili atukana. Kamuchiteni report to police. Go and report me to the police. Who end up in court. And the courts will decide whether I've insulted or not. Ukweba abantu ati bakabola ala when they are stealing will never be an insult. And it's still not an insult. And I have no apologies whatsoever to make. Uwunga 130. By the end of this year, it will be 150. Abantu mwabalundila 4%. Imomo ya ilundila from 2016. Ama civil servants, they've only earned about 320 salary increment. Imomo ya ilundila up to 80,000 kwacha. Mule tumfela abantu watu muli mtungurushi. Tamuli mtungurushi mwe. Mule ibila abantu. And this has to stop. From today, please discontinue that 32,000 kwacha. Whatever you are calling it, discontinue it. It's illegal. Uchange usuma. Mila tulila masukupamitu. Na limyewo kutila chindi. Chindi komwa ichenga kuchindi. If you want the people of Zambia to respect you as ministers, as president, don't steal from them. Give them respect. Improve their living standards. Not to blai bila fi abantu yonse. Kula balila amasukupamitu. Forest number 27. Insonye wundu. The rules in this country are very straightforward in the allocation of land. You advertise in the newspaper. People apply. They come for interviews. You allocate the plots. There is no record whatsoever that the plots in forest number 27 were advertised. There is no record of people going for interviews. But we hear Speaker of the National Assembly has landed there. Harry Findre, Yasam Zambia Limited, Derek Impundu, Jean Kapata, Inonge Wina, Douglas, is it Musukwa, the Minister of Mines, Dominic Kaluba. How can you be so unfair to the people of Zambia that you gazette land and only those that are close to the PF cadres, ministers, and those in high authority are the ones that are given the land? Nga pina, va street vendor, va teacher, va kapokola, va kafinya kuisa ma plots. If you're you are selfish. And I'm calling upon the Minister of Lands to immediately cancel those allocations of land. If indeed you want that forest to be available for human habitation or for construction of houses, follow the law. Otherwise, whoever is Minister of Lands, this is corruption, and you answer it. This is corruption, and you answer it. Stop that allocation of land. Cancel all those who have been allocated land in forest number 27. And listen to the voice of wisdom from Harrington. That land was reserved because it is part of the water supply system of Lusaka. Why is it that when people complain, government is always on the defensive? I have a lot of respect for Mayowa Wina, but I'm disappointed that she also partook of this illegality. Mayo, on moral grounds, give back that land. Don't dent your reputation. Give back that land. But Speaker Naimwe, give back that land. Laws are made in Parliament. And you know, as a former judge, that you've gotten that land illegally. Take it back. Tapabansoni, Kutila Fie, I am sorry. I've surrendered back this land. And all of you are mentioned. Bafindi the Johnson our president. Can she more poke the land? Was it right that our president had to poke land? Think of the policeman. Think of the civil servants. When you are civil servant for a chula. Anyway, I just want to appeal to the people of Zambia, the civil servants and everybody, that we have only 2 years to go. And when I come, things will change for the better. First and foremost, we have to change the mindset, the attitudes, standing orders in the civil service must be changed to favor the ordinary man on the street, not the leadership and those who are in the offices. Because what is wrong with this country is our mindset. Our attitude is unacceptable and very bad. How do you explain 48 houses? Now they can who is the owner of the house because they are intimidated. Surely 48 tenants who ingesa in the open to say, awe, inetwaleli pila amarentozi kuliba bazumani katasefa even bamayanda twaishiba. Nobody can say that because of intimidation. If you feel no, arrest Kambwili. Arrest Kambwili for what? For telling you at Muleba. Now ben wakapola bakwisa njikata. He's saying independent. Come and arrest me. The truth of the matter is our attitude is very bad. We need to change our mindset if this country has to develop. Finish na sharp. What's that? Have I left out anything? Anyway, in conclusion, I want to thank this government for taking the inputs to the respective areas on time. Where you do well, we'll give you a pat on the back. I have been following on TV that most of the inputs are in the areas ready for the farmers to put. That is what we want. This is what we want, not to kawolala. Well done for the early distribution of inputs, and I hope and trust that the earlier you start giving the farmers, the better. Because what we have been told is that in all the respective towns, including the rural areas, the inputs have reached both urea and D-compound. What we haven't heard about is the seed. Well done. When you do the right thing, we'll tell you, well done. Tatumi won't feel like jealous. We'll never be jealous. Well done for the inputs. But like a new quiver. Thank you very much.